I am going to call the village board meeting of July 26th to order. Roll call, please.
Trustee Brocious?
Here.
Trustee Thuzius? Trustee Brunner?
Here.
Trustee Palmakowski?
Here.
Trustee Hartman?
Present.
Trustee Kettlebaiter? Here. President Langfeld?
Here. Let's stand for a pledge of allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we're at public comment. This is an opportunity for anyone to address the village board on any issue. Please observe the time limit of 3 minutes. While the village board encourages input from residents, it may not discuss or act on any issue that is not duly noticed on the agenda.
Well, we did not have anyone signed up for ahead of time for public comment. We did have a couple in the crowd here. I don't know if they signed up. Okay.
Hey, anybody speaking?
They're here for the presentation.
Okay, gotcha. Very good. All right, I will then close public comment. Consent agenda. Do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I will second.
Right, any discussion? I guess I should, hang on, let's just go back. Upon the request of any trustee, any item may be removed from the consent agenda for separate consideration under general business. Is anybody? All right. Thank you for those motions. All right, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Village report. For me, I want to thank, as you can see on some of the people who have resigned, I want to thank Randy Case, who's been on a part of the village committee system for decades, for his service, and of course, Cliff and Lori Zander for their service, and for Logan and Travis for their service as employees of the village over the years. I look forward to working with people who have been appointed. I think it's a good group that's coming in. That's all I have to say. Vice President. Judy?
I can't think of nothing. No.
Okay. Other trustee reports. I have Doug.
Just National Night Out, Tuesday, August 3rd. Everybody's invited 5-7 p.m. Thank you.
All
Spike
right.
bread.
What's that?
And Spike bread.
Oh, okay. And then I have Andy.
Yeah, just a quick reminder, the Aspiring Anti-Racist Across Plains in connection with the Middleton Equity Connection are trying to get together to do a community-wide building exercise over the Thursdays in August from 7 to 8:30 p.m. via Zoom. Rudy Bankston will be facilitating, and then hosting will be the two organizations that I just mentioned. Just a great opportunity to pop in and see kind of what the community is feeling about issues of race and equity across Plains and Middleton. It suggests a fee, however, for people who maybe just want to experience what's going on and just kind of see what we're talking about in Middleton and Cross Plains are welcome to do so for free. And you can just check the social media feeds, including Parents, Moms, and Dads Across Plains, along with the Aspiring Anti-Racist Facebook page to get information on registration. Thanks.
Thank you, Andy. Anybody else? All right, Village Administrator Bill.
Yeah, just one thing here. So the Capital Area Regional Planning Commission continues to work on the green infrastructure in Black Earth Creek watershed. Right now, they are looking for people to turn in surveys. It's on their website. I will link that website to the village's website and put it in as in recent news or current events. And so it's a 10-question survey. It takes less than 5 minutes. So it's in regards to your thoughts on flooding, especially within the village, and your experiences regarding flooding.
All right, thank you. Any other reports? Anybody from staff? All right, we'll go into general business. The first is a presentation of cycling without age and possible action on resolution 2021-11, supporting the cycling without age program in the village of Cross Plains. Okay.
So I believe the group Cycling Without Age did have a presentation at the Park and Recreation Committee last week. And so from there, the Park and Recreation Committee recommended support of this program. We did draft a resolution to that effect. I believe we have representatives from the Cycling Without Age program, and we'll let you step up to the microphone there and provide a quick presentation and introduction.
Sure. Hi, my name is Julie Highland, and I've been a resident of the village and then also the town of Cross Plains since 2005. And we're looking to bring this program through Northwest Spain Senior Services, who I've actually been a board member of, and then also I'm still a volunteer with them. We're looking to bring this program to serve the elderly community here in Cross Plains. So basically anybody that Northwest Spain Services serves the 65 and older population, we're looking to serve with this program. And my colleague, Kevin, I'll let him introduce himself.
Yeah, good afternoon. Kevin Coughlin, and I'm also a resident of Cross Plains for the last 11 years. And my sort of day job, I work for the state of Wisconsin Department of Health Services. And in that capacity, I actually met the founder of this program, who started it in Denmark. And he, it's a nonprofit, it's a great organization of trying to really connect elderly to their communities and to bring back something that maybe they haven't ridden on a bicycle for 40, 50 years, to give that experience back. And their tagline is, everyone has the right to wind in their hair. So that's what we want to do for older adults in this area is let them experience that. And then we're kind of creating what we think is a great way to promote our community as well. There's with the Trishaw, there can be two people in the front. So the pilot is like that picture up there. Pilot is the driver, and it is an electric assist bike, so it's not too hard on the pilots to be able to then have two people in front. And so that those two people in front can be, two elderly people. It can be an elderly person with their family member, a grandson, granddaughter, a daughter, son, or it could be that person with us. What we're going to have is we're going to try to recruit storytellers and people that have a rich history of our wonderful community, and then can kind of talk about that as they're riding on the Trishaw, through the village and the surrounding areas and on the bike trail. So that's what we're trying to just really raise awareness about the community and recruit storytellers, riders, and pilots, and then also connect them to the local businesses. There's a program, Friends of Cycling Without Age, where maybe a restaurant or a coffee shop or something else might give discounts or free drinks for a pilot and a rider that would stop by. So again, kind of connecting them to the village and that they're a part of it, and not just home alone in an assisted living facility. COVID has really taken the toll on people that have had to quarantine, and that there's a lot of data out that isolation has really affected both mental health. But it's just a little capture of kind of what we're hoping.
All right, any questions? I think it looks like a great program for this. It fits right into what we would like to see in Cross Plains.
We've both been pilots too,
Yeah.
so we're experienced. So.
And we see just the joy it brings, and And they're right up front, so when you experience it, I mean, it's like you're right there, seeing surrounding area, and it's a slow, it's just a slow ride.
Do you know, will they fit on the boardwalk?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Andy?
Well, just as former or current pilots, do you have any advice as we implement the program that you've seen in other communities that we can learn from?
That's a great question. You know, I think what we've seen is when as the community engages, you know, that getting the businesses to help either sponsor or just become a friend at least, where you can put a sticker in their window, because that as we're riding around as a pilot, the looks that you get and people, when we stop, people are asking questions about what a great program this is, or asking about the program. And when that trishaw is in front of a business, it's going to bring a lot of attention. And
Yeah.
so, so we're hoping to have a big community event in September we're going to borrow some trishaws because we're still fundraising to get, you know, all the money that we need to run this. But we hope to borrow some from a local chapter where we can have people actually experience it, get on the bike, be a pilot, you know, just see what that would feel like.
Oh, Bill?
So I'll make a motion that we accept resolution number 2021-11, recognizing, supporting, and welcoming the Northwest Bank Senior Service Cycling Without Age Cross-Bank Program to our community.
I'll second it.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. So move. Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Okay, number 2, update and discussion on the leaf pickup pilot program. I asked for this to be back on because, as you saw earlier, we lost 2 of our public works employees. I don't really, obviously, we're going to try to fill those spots as soon as possible. But I just wanted to give people a heads up. If we can't fill those spots and Jerry thinks it's too much stress to add something, you know, when we're short staffed, that will probably postpone it. I just want to make sure everybody's aware of that. The second pilot, actually, we will continue because that should only help make it much more efficient and reduce potential loads because it chops up the leaves, which you should also know, and I'm not sure if you're aware of it, but the site that we've been composting, they've asked us to stop composting there at the end of this year. So we'll have to find a new spot. So we're exploring different possibilities with that. And we'll certainly keep you up to date on that. But if we end up having to haul those a longer distance, chopping up the leaves will make half the trips. So there's a financial advantage to doing that, but we'll have to really get the education out there because it can't take the mixed stuff. So we have to do leaves on it. So this was just a heads up and information. Any questions or anything? Bill?
How far do we travel right now to the compost?
A mile maybe, Jerry?
Yeah, it's about a mile one way.
Yeah.
Oh,
And the place that's a private that takes them is on the other side of the landfill.
oh wow.
So there's a big difference there.
Discrepancy.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, anything else? All righty, so let's move on to update on the Lions Pavilion at Zander Nature Community Park. I thought Kevin was gonna be here
Yeah.
when I talked to him.
I thought Kevin or Mike were gonna be here.
Well, I just talked to him on Sunday.
I can take it.
All right.
So most recently, there was a committee created by the Lions Club to help steer this project forward onto the fundraising stage. At this point, they've elected to move forward with this design and structure. I believe this is the same structure and design that was chosen or selected by the Lions Club early on in the visioning cycle, and then also approved by the Village's Park and Recreation Committee shortly following that. So they have confirmed with the group that this is the infrastructure that they would like to fundraise for. The size that they are attempting to go for is the 30 by 40, which is the largest one. Note that the one for this project would not have the columns as required per regulation of the floodplain in the study that was conducted a couple months back. At this point, we would be moving on to drafting of renderings and drafting of cost estimates, and so that that committee can move on to its private fundraising campaign. They'll check back with us, I believe at the end of the year here, and then we'll move on to public financing after that, fundraising campaign after that, depending on where they land on the
All right, anybody got any question? Doug?
I'll just add a quick comment that the Lions are going to be part of the spike rep weekend and they're going to get money from the bank tournament, the 50-50, and also going to run the food stamp on Saturday. So,
All righty, thank you, Doug. All right, let's move on to number 4, discussion and possible action on the floor plan for Safari Early Learning Center. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Open up for discussion. This is on here because it's part of the conditional use permit for that building.
Anyone have any questions or would like a presentation? We do have representatives from Safari on Zoom here also.
Bill.
So the only thing I didn't see in here is restrooms.
Yep, so the restrooms are here. Right in the.
Oh, okay.
So,
Got it.
and then just for everyone's knowledge here, this is facing Bourbon Road on this side. This is facing the creek north. So that the entrance of the building, the facility for this floor will be through that.
I have a question. Okay. So which
Michael?
space would they be utilizing, the stuff that's not common
This
space?
is, can you hear me? This is Kelly Endress. So part of West Bend Properties, who owns the building now with Mike. I think you're right, RSL are on here. So just interrupt me if I'm wrong, guys. But on the left-hand side of the screen, you can see we are adding another exterior door, and that's for licensing requirements. Actually, that part that you're circling now, that's actually another heating and cooling that was required to go in to meet code. But yep, right there, that's the second exterior door with a little vestibule. And then the 4 bigger rooms, there's 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom. Those are all going to be different rooms for different age kiddos. The middle green part, that's actually just a hallway type thing. And then the far back space, the largest space, that's unfinished space that they're leaving mainly for storage, that sort of thing. And then the bathrooms that are there, they're leaving those. So those bathrooms are pre-existing. So pretty much they're just building the interior walls. We're putting in that exterior door. And then they are going to have to do a few plumbing alterations. The 3 rooms by the stairs, those are all already there. And they're just leaving that as is.
Okay, thank you.
Answer your question.
All right, any other discussion? Let's do a roll call vote, please.
Trustee Brochus,
Yes.
trustee Thuzius, trustee Brunner,
yes.
trustee Polakowski,
Yes.
trustee Hartman,
Absolutely.
trustee Kettlebaiter. Yes. President Langfeld.
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. All right, discussion and possible action regarding the application for Creekside Scoop for a Class B fermented bulk malt beverage license and a Class B intoxicating liquor license. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion to approve per staff recommendation as presented.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second discussion. I have one question. So is this a separate license than what they have for the coffee shop?
So they withdrew their license for the coffee shop. They withdrew that application because they're not serving any alcohol or beer.
Okay,
So that's the correction, because they had previously filed that application and there was some confusion in regards to the Class C or the Class B. Under this license and where they intend to sell alcohol and beer in the ice cream parlor, that's where they'll keep that alcohol. And under the Class B, well, original Class B intoxicating will be.
okay, very good. I just, because if they were gonna have one for each one, I would say, let's just do one and use the whole building as the premise and save us a license. Okay, very good. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same. All right, number 6, discussion and possible action on the application for a chicken license at 1414 Main Street. Well,
I move to approve the application for a chicken license at 1414 Main Street.
do I have a second?
Second.
All right, open up for discussion. I guess I'm gonna take the opposite view. I was the board member that pushed for the chickens and the bees to be allowed in the village. And I think a lot of discussion was, I think if someone has an individual home, that's fine. But if you're sharing a resident, is it fair to the other residents if the neighbors have it and you have to deal with the smell and potentially the noise or them not the upkeep of it? So I'm very hesitant to open it up to multifamilies, because the next thing we're going to do, you'll have something for an apartment or something like that. And I think we have to be careful on this. I don't want it to be spoiled for everybody. I think it's been working really well. I guess if we had some part of the process where the other units would sign off on it, I guess I would be a little bit more open to it, but I think we should be cautious that we shouldn't force upon another resident something they may not like. So that's my comments on it. I have Bill and Andy.
So this is my question about this. Is it the owner of the property that's asking for the chickens, or is it a renter who's asking for the chickens?
So the applicant is not the owner. I believe the applicant is a partner of the son of the person.
Okay, so that's kind of where I kind of fall on this. Is if it was the owner and they were renting, let's say they just remodeled it above last year.
Yeah.
So if they were renting that and the renters agreed, like you said, then I would probably think more about, approving this. But if the owner is not part of this, like a single family house would be, then I would have a hard time approving that.
Okay, Andy.
Yeah, I guess my take on it is, isn't it up to the property owner to say you can have chickens or you can't have dogs, or it's pet friendly not? And so if whoever is renting is applying for this application, it's part of sort of the aesthetic of Cross Plains to be a little bit more sustainable, environmental, I'd say give it a shot. And then if the owner of the building doesn't want chickens, they can make that part of the lease when they re-sign with the tenant. I don't think it's our business to get involved in that personally, but that's kind of where I lie on this one.
No, the one thing I noticed was missed on those items. The packet was written consent from the owner. I think that's probably a big deal with the way the ordinance is written. So without that, she signed the property.
All right, any other comments? Okay, Andy.
I mean, just only with the clarification that Bill kind of asked for, it seems like the owner is aware if it's the owner's son's partner that there's not going to be an issue there, and this is just going to come back again. But maybe.
Well, I guess I'm a little. I thought there were 2 tenants in that, and I think the tenant that's requiring it has the relationship, but I don't know what the other tenant believes. So that's where I'm coming from, is you have someone who rented something without this, and the reason we have licensing is so there's a control mechanism. It's not like a dog or a cat. This is a control mechanism that we've installed in for chickens and bees that, you know, I get, like I said, I would be open, and I agree with Doug, if the owner and the other residents are waving off on this, I would be a little bit more inclined, but I hate to set precedent to the next one, and then we get into a big argument with, you know, where people who live in the same building start getting angry at each other. Now we're thrown in the middle of it. That's why, I mean, we had a lot of discussion when this went through. So, Bill, I see your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to make a few comments here in regards to the ordinance and how the ordinance is drafted. So first and foremost, the ordinance requires that permitting only be allowed in single-family residence. So districts. So that means that a two-flat or a duplex cannot have chickens unless we change that. And if you were to, my recommendation would be if you were to approve that application, then you make that change in the zoning law. The secondary requirement would be that if they meet the first standard, if that single family home is rented, then they would need the permission from the owner. Yeah. So there's layers of qualifications or requirements that you have to meet, depending on whether it's single family or not, and then whether it's owner occupied or not, and then you have your distancing and your setback.
Okay, Andy.
Well, just to clarify, thank you. According to the ordinance as we have it, this would not fly unless we change the ordinance. Correct.
Right. Any other? So we have a
I
Michael.
was just going to say that I agree with the ideas that were put in place of they being placed on single family residences for the reasons that were discussed. That sounds fine. If we want to discuss it and change our ordinance, we can, but I don't know. You start dealing with multi-tenant with chickens and bees, it can become confusing.
Andy.
Yeah, I just want us to maybe think outside the box here a little bit, because what we're essentially saying is if you're able to own a home, you can have chickens and sustain your own livelihood. If you rent, you can't have chickens and then have some sort of like farm to table atmosphere in your own residence. And I would like us to maybe reconsider the ordinance based on that fact alone, is that we're saying people with means can do this and people without means can't.
And I agree, but this is not the time. If you want to come up with some language that under multifamily, what requirements we would be asking for that to happen, I think most of us would be open to that. But right now, the ordinance is for single family, and I don't really think we wouldn't be able to change the ordinance tonight anyways, because it has not been noticed. So if that's something you'd like to work on and get the language, you know, designed on what you think would be fair, I think all of us are always open to modify our ordinances. All right, so let's do a roll call vote.
Trustee Paul Mikowski.
Just for clarification, the motion was to approve, right?
Right.
So I'm voting no.
Trustee Hartman.
Yeah.
Trustee Kettlebaiter.
No.
Trustee Brochus.
No.
Trustee Enthusiast. Trustee Brunner.
No.
President Langfeld.
No. All righty. Number 7, discussion regarding the budget prioritization report. Bill, you want to take
Yeah,
this?
I can jump into this. So, June 14th, we had that meeting to prioritize budget materials, and as items we had requested came in. At that meeting, we organized them into what was defer or delegate, quick wins, major projects and thankless tasks. From that exercise, I went ahead and organized them into different categories for which we can then assign to a committee, to the budget process, or to a staff member. And so I provided that to you in the exhibit. The items that we see as quick wins will be introduced in this year's budget, whether it be by CIP or by budget supplement or budget itself, in the 1%. You can see in here the major projects were delegated either to the staff and or the committee. The defer and delegate obviously went to staff and our committee. And then the thankless tasks here we put on the village board as when you decide on making budget approvals and CIP approvals, would consider those items that were noted. So ensuring adequate funding, making sure that it's a responsible budget, balancing the budget with the. If you have any questions, I'm not going to go through the list, all of it, but if you do have any questions, do let me know. And again, this is meant to prioritize these goals so that we can accomplish them in an orderly fashion.
All right. Any questions or comments on this? I would ask that you you kind of keep this, you know, save it somewhere else so we can refer to it when we start going through the budget process and into next year. I think it's a good document. We spent some time, so let's not just put it on the shelf. Yeah. All righty. All right. Go to number 8, discussion on employee compensation. I'll let Bill kind of.
Yeah, I can leave this one. So as part of your packet, you'll see, and we've put it in sent an email. This was an item that was discussed as a high priority item during that June 14th meeting. And as part of that reference, we had discussed the salary study that was put out by the Dane County Cities and Villages Association as a third party. As part of that, we provided instruction to staff to, in regards to this year's budget and potential budget supplements for requests to increase or consider wages and compensation. So the instructions are included in your packet. What I also did was went through and took a look at the salaries from the study and organized them so that it would be easier for you to read. The first one here shows the 3, which they categorize the village of Cross Plains into, and how we compare on actual data, whether high or low, with the communities of Marshall, Belleville, and Sherwood Hills. The second table here is the analysis for all of Dane County and how we as a village compare. So everything in red, we do not meet. In the green, we fall within that range. So it's separated by range data and then actual data. This first one is set on average comparison, and the second one here is set on 50%.
Can you explain the difference between range and actual?
Yep. So range is the average. So basically, they're taking all of it and dividing. Then 50th percentile is the median comparison. And so those numbers will change as you see. And all this information is provided in the DCCBA survey, but it's hard to read within this.
But the only question I had that I'm just assuming, but I don't want to assume because that always bites me. The second, what we're looking at now, is that for the group 3 or is that for all of Dane County?
That's all Dane County. Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
So it includes Madison and all that.
Correct.
All right.
Correct. This third table is group 3 only. So then this is an analysis of Dane County and outstate counties, everything within this state that they polled. What they did was they broke down qualifications by wage, by equity, by evaluation, etc. As explained in the BCCBA survey, and again, where our salaries were at that time compared to the other communities. Now, this one, I do want to note that there are certain positions that they did not pull in outstate communities. They stuck with. So the purpose of this is to provide you with some background information. If you want to go onto the packet and you click this red button, it'll take you to that survey. It's 100 and some pages long. And the raw data that they've pulled. Upcoming here, we'll have some presentations or proposals from the department itself for salary.
After I reviewed the board packet, found some things that concern me in this particular line item. So I put together some additional facts pertaining in particular to public facilities that I think you should factor into your consideration. As you know, we just accepted 2 resignations. That's the second and third resignations within the last 8 months. Currently, we're down to 5 public works employees. The average age of our group is 61. Some have been here as long as 28 years, with the exception of the employee that was hired in May. Everybody else has been here at least 15. Of those 5 employees, 1 is permanently assigned to the wastewater plant. Given the trend over the last 20 years, my out in the field time is pretty limited. So that leaves basically 3 people to provide all village services at the present time. And of those 5 employees, there is cumulative of 21 weeks of vacation that they have accrued. So that basically puts us down to 2.5 employees to cover all village services. The wage survey, group 3, as it's so well endowed, compares us to other municipalities with the same approximate population. That does not reflect on who we are competing with to hire and retain employees. We're losing employees to communities like Verona, Mount Hor, Middleton. And in all actuality, some of the 2 communities to the west of us are paying better than we are. I picked 3 classifications, looked through the stuff. I got an example from one from each community. Mount Hor was the only one that had a wastewater plant, so that's where that information came from. So their starting wage is $28.56 plus $1 per hour increases for each operator certificate obtained. And their annual cost of living / inflation increases have been between 2 and 4%. The gentleman I talked to had been there about 10 years, and he said they've never been less than 2%. Cross Plains, the wastewater treatment plant operator, is currently at $23.86 an hour, and he's been doing the job for about 27 years. Annual increases in recent history here have averaged less than 2% for inflation or cost of living. Black Earth, half the size of Cross Plains. No businesses, veteran community, just like we are. Their public works lead laborer is at $27.62 an hour. Cross Plains person in that position is at $22.46 with 15 years of experience. Mazo just lost an employee to FedEx, actually. He's their lowest level public works laborer. Their starting pay that they're going to offer if they get an applicant is $22.30 an hour. We have one just laborer. He's been with us for 16 years. His current pay level is $20.16 an hour. The guy we just hired in May, he's at $19.50. Talking to representatives from these communities, the benefits are very comparable. Are they identical? No. Some of the other communities have things we don't have. We have things some of them don't have, but they're very comparable. The primary reason for the 3 resignations in the last month is because of wages, take-home pay. Now, I see it as the village can go a couple different routes here. One, it can continue to hire newbies and be the vetting service and provide initial training for new hires so that neighboring communities can harvest them from us, as they're currently doing. Or we can implement a new compensation plan. I listed off 3 things that I think should be in it. Those also happen to correspond with the 2015 GovHR survey study that was completed for the village of Cross Plains specifically, under contract with GovHR. I've also collected numerous examples of how other communities are doing their pay schedules. One that's very interesting is the city of Madison, city of Verona. But I have several examples. If anyone's interested, I can provide them. So I guess in conjunction with this wage issue that we currently have, you as board have to decide what you're going to do. Either way, it's going to be an impact on the tax levy. That's what I spelled out in number 7. Number 8, I'd just like to make mention again that public works services are no longer lean on the shovel, chew tobacco, and make wolf calls at the cute girl going down the street. There's a lot more to it than that. We have to have a special driver's license just to drive a truck. Tech skills with electronics are growing exponentially annually. We have to have some biological and chemistry knowledge to run the water and wastewater systems. So I'd like to close with, it's been touted that we need to think outside the box and offer other benefits to try and compensate for low wages. The village has been doing that since at least 1971, because I've personally had conversations with a gentleman that was working here then. And he always had a good quote for me, and it's right at the bottom of the page. It does no good to get another week's vacation if you haven't got any money to enjoy it. So I'd like you to consider some of this information. I don't expect you to take it all to heart. I know better, I've worked with you long enough, but at least think about it. Thank you for your time.
Another discussion. I would ask that, this is going to be a priority. So I want to make sure people are comfortable with reading charts like this, or they like it in a different format, or what Jerry did. I am hoping when department heads come in, they do the work and do the supplement budget request, and kind of like what Jerry did here, kind of come up with something very similar to this. So there's justification in our discussion, and we will have a very honest, blunt discussion on this. It's time we put it out on the table and deal with it. Andy?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thanks, Jerry. And I hear you. As a public employee myself for the past 10 years, I understand the frustration with not having wages and benefits meet even inflation, and having bodies outside of yourself who know the work that you're doing, making decisions on your behalf financially. I also would like to remind just everybody in the village board that we're here to serve the community. And when I first became a teacher in the Middleton Cross Plains Area School District, I wasn't vested in that community quite yet. But after year after year after year of serving the students and the families and the parents, it's impossible not to just feel like this is where you want to live and be, and you feel that connection to your community, as I'm sure all of the employees that we have who have been here for 15, 20 years feel that same connection whether they live here or not. And so I would just strongly advocate that we consider not just meeting our fellow communities with compensation and benefits, but exceeding them, because we want to be bigger, faster, stronger, better, and show our employees that we actually truly appreciate them. So that's all I got to say.
Bill?
So two things. One, we have to understand the environment in which we live in today, which is we have high unemployment, and we have high unemployment, and we have a high number of jobs that are available for people to work. And you look around in the consumer area, even in the commercial area, it is very difficult to find workers because pay is a motivator. And I agree with Jerry. We cannot tell employees we're only going to give them a 1% raise. We can't.
All right, let's okay. I don't want to get too deep into this because we'll do it. That is not why it's a 1% increase. We have given them 2% on top of that every single year on a merit pay. So every year they're getting at least 3%. All right.
That's not how it works, Jay.
Well, it's you get 2%. Do you not get a 2%?
It's not base building.
The bonus merit pay thing does not accumulate.
No, I didn't. Yeah, I don't
So
agree with it.
It does you no good. That thing should just get thrown away.
Well, okay, I agree with you on that. We definitely agree, but I just want to make sure, and that's what I'm saying. We're going to have an honest discussion on this because there is things outside the 1% that we have increased. It does not build into your base, but it's definitely a bonus, and it is cash, and it is money. You know, so I mean, let's call it like it is. I'm all for having an honest discussion, and we will, but I just want to make sure that everything has to be on the table, and we have a true understanding of what we have out there. I'm not for the merit pay, not like I'm defending that, but I just want to make sure when people understand there's more to it. There is a cash bonus that we do give to people,
Right,
which is very similar to the private sector.
but inflation has increased exponentially this year. Look at the cost of building materials, look at the cost of food, look at the cost of everything, and it's higher than 2%.
Okay,
it is.
I don't want to spend too much
I
time.
understand, but my point is that we have a bucket of money that we have, right?
Yep.
And my opinion is we need to pay our employees more. We've been sacrificing land for years. We got to stop that. But because we only have bucket money, some services may go away. And we need to understand that too. And that honest conversation we're going to have saying, if we're going to do this, we can't do everything.
Agreed.
Right?
Agreed.
Okay. That's all I ask.
All right, Andy.
Yeah, I mean, if it's on the agenda to discuss employee compensation, like we're here to sort of start talking about it, correct? So I'm hearing Jerry, I'm hearing you, I'm hearing Bill. I'd like to hear from more board members about where they stand on some of these issues that were brought up by Jerry and that are literally on the agenda for tonight.
Okay, Michael.
Well, if we're discussing it, I'd like to see possibly that a cost of living adjustment is made every year inside of every single employee's compensation. It's just what should happen. It's just the cost of living increase. It's the thing of, it's the price of inflation. Then on top of that, you then deal with somehow figuring out some sort of merit system, or whether or not you then give an extra 1 or 2% inside the base building and you remove the merit system is what I've been thinking about.
Judy?
I like to see all the head people do something like this that Jerry did before I say one way or the other. Because I think he did do a good job and he laid it out and whatever else and explained it. I like to see that come from the other ones also.
All right. Doug?
I agree. I think managing and turnover and staffing at now is a very big challenge in my business as well. We're at the openings where we come in for, we're having a lot of staff events still indoor canceled. We're in a challenge is to work on a process to be fair and equitable. It starts with competitive wages. And every time I talk about it's not that I don't care about having competitive wages. It's that I truly believe it's one part of everyone's job. And I do think there can be ways to engage your staff and kind of staff. If they can outside the box, see if there's a way to actually say and we'll have some public/private partnerships to save some money, whether it's facilities or even maybe doing some services. And I'm all for wanting people to come enjoy work with things also. So I think we should look at it. I'm appreciative of the work Jerry's done. But also, you know, I get it from my owner that I staff and fill. I just want to have a fair, equitable partner relationship with us. I know they're not fun conversations. The environmental side is tough.
Anybody else? All right. We'll have, during the budget time, we'll have a much greater discussion on it. All right, discussion on the American Rescue Plan Act local fiscal recovery funds.
Yeah, I think you had one more over there.
Sorry, this is the last one. When you said we'll have more discussions, how does that mean? Are there going to be various options presented to us, or are we supposed to come up with the options on our own?
Well, if you would like to, you're going to have a whole month to regurgitate what department head gives you. Their instructions where they get a 1% base, anything over that, they need to do a supplementary and budget request with the justification of that, just like with everything else. So I think, to me, we have to wait for that before we can really have this discussion. So that would be, and that should be occurring in August. You should be getting it for the discussion to occur in September.
And those justifications might include options for funding, I'm assuming, or what have you.
It's whatever, yeah, they've been instructed to try to do what we've always asked on you know, what you're looking for, the justification and fiscal impact. So that way we have facts that we can actually discuss and look at. And we've asked that to be the priority for this year budget cycle.
I was just asking for their clarification about how we're going to proceed.
Yeah, Bill.
Who did the board did not dictate a 1% raise, did they, or how did that 1% raise get communicated? How did you?
It's done by the village president. They set like an executive budget. That's how it's always done.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
How did you determine 1%?
Because I knew that was going to be a priority listening at the last meeting. So I want everybody to get 1% because my feeling is there's a big gap that we have. All right. I think our department heads, if you look at the data, are well, right? right? But everybody needs, I think what we need to do is bring up, like what Jerry's talking about in there, bring those people up. But you don't want anybody not to get anything. So that was the base. And it makes it across the board. So we don't have to go page by page. If Jerry wants to spend an extra $100 on, let's say, stamps, because he's got to do a mailing, that he's got to put that in the budget and we have to review it. Now he gets 1%, however he can play with that. It can go in, and we know the base budget, when it's given to us, has a 1% across the board raise. That way we don't have to go page by page.
And then if, like Jerry or Mike, let's say, wanted a 2% raise for all their employees, that would have to come through board approval.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And this one has to, I mean, you can all, when we look at this, you can say, hey, we think everybody should have a 3% increase across their budget. I mean, it's a starting point, and it's always been the village president that starts that starting point, so they have something to work with. And then obviously the board does the approves the budget, so it's just a starting point.
Thanks.
All right, anything else on that? All right, let's go to 9 then. The American Rescue Plan Act Local Fiscal Report Fund.
Yeah, so this again is to provide you with some information for upcoming discussions. So this is speaking particularly to the funding that we have received, and the first increment, and we'll receive our second payment approximately 11 months from now from the American Rescue Plan. In total, we will receive approximately $448,600. Of those funds, they can be used for specific items listed in their packet, primarily dealing with the pandemic. So with that being said, as a reminder, at the meeting on the 21st, those board approved approximately $300,000 for the Burridge Road project, leaving about $150,000, and we'll take a look at how to allocate that into this year's budget and next year's budget, so that we can reduce the levy going forward. Generally, that's the approach that we're taking to this. If there's any special considerations that you would like to have, please let us know. I have asked for staff to put forward projects that they believe would fit under these criteria, and we can add to the budget as a request.
All right, any questions?
One.
Go ahead, Michael.
Since at that last meeting, you know, we said we were going to spend 300,000 of it on the road and the rest on other things to keep the levy down. We aren't going to have an issue trying to spend the other 150. I mean, the question is, like, will it fall into categories where we're allowed to spend it?
You have until 2024. I'm sure we'll be able to find ways to spend it.
But I mean, I just say it because it's obvious, water, sewer, broadband. Like, that's a guaranteed given, like, you know.
So the qualifications to spend the dollars on these parameters are very technical. So what Bobby and I are doing with the auditors is to make sure that we can allocate funding. One of the items that we're looking at is the recovery of revenue losses and how we calculate the loss of revenue compared to 2019. We believe with pretty good confidence here that we'd be able to fit under that.
Oh, and we'd be able to recoup the other 150 underneath that classification.
Correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're going to get the money, and that one just seems like a glaring, you know, obvious one.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. That was mine.
All right, anything else? All right, you were given the SIP for 2021 to 2026. I would like, it's a very well done document. We're obviously going to focus mostly on page 1 next month at our meeting. Certainly, if you have questions on the other years, that's fine, but if we do every year, it'll be a meeting to midnight. And as you know, things change very rapidly in the village, so I would focus your attention to 2022, because that's the one that we'll have. And if you have questions, when you read through these other ones, I would ask that you contact the department head. But again, my plan is hopefully not to spend a whole lot of time on the other years. Those are to give you a balance of what's coming down and the future big picture type thing. Bill, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I just wanted to know, so again, in kind of talking about ARPA and talking about future capital improvement here, as stated in my memorandum here, we have about $219,000 left in the capital improvement fund balance. And so potentially there could be a way that we could go about borrowing for this year. We haven't borrowed yet this year. So again, just consider that as part of the overall discussion.
All right. Any general questions at all? I know you haven't looked at it, so. But we have until Jerry.
Bill, I just want to throw out, it's good that you haven't borrowed yet, because right now, I'm not sure whether they do a project. Contractor availability is a real problem as well.
No, I thank you. So next meeting, we will dig deeply into this document, at least the first page. And we'll try to have decisions by that. All righty. Future agenda items.
Chicken ordinance?
Well, I have no problem with that, but I would ask that you put a proposal together. I don't want a free-for-all.
Sure.
Us putting together. If you do that and you get it to us, we can. I don't have a problem with that.
We'll do that.
All right. All right.
And if you want to coordinate with me on that, that probably should go to planning commission first. The zoning ordinance.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Do I have a motion to go into closed session?
So moved. Second.
And this is closed session number 1.
Good, folks.
Good night. Thanks, Jerry.
Night. Thank you.
Did I have a second? I'm sorry. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Calvater,
Yes.
trustee Brochus,
Yes.
trustee Paul Mikowski,
Yes.
trustee Thuzius, trustee Brenner,
Yes.
trustee Hartman.
Yep.
President Langfeld.
Yes. We are now in closed session. Is the door? All right, we're back into open session. Do I have a motion to go into closed session number 2?
I move to go into closed session
Number 2.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Kettlebaiter,
Yes.
trustee Brochus,
Yes.
trustee Paul Mikowski,
Yes.
trustee Thuzius, trustee Brenner,
Yes.
trustee Hartman.
Yep.
President Langfeld.
Yes. We are in closed session. Open up the door. All right, thank you, Bill. Okay, we're back into open session from number 2. Do I have a motion to go into closed session number 3?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Calvater,
Yes.
trustee Brochus,
Yeah.
trustee Paul Mikowski,
Yes.
trustee Thuzius, trustee Brenner,
Yes.
trustee Hartman.
Yep.
President Langfeld.
Yes. Bill, can you just? Right, open session. All right, the village board is back into open session from closed session number 3. Do I have a motion for adjournment? So do I have a second?
Second.
All right, a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Same. Good meeting, a lot covered. Good job.